this week. If you've been around Notre Dame forever, Notre Dame media forever, he's a guy that loved Notre Dame, did terrific work, just a pure Notre Dame historian. The way he presented appealed to me. There was just an air about him and a calm that somebody like me appreciates when discussing Notre Dame, because it's not the way I naturally am. So every once in a while, to have that calm, concise historian's perspective, I always appreciated it. So great guy. Everybody respected him. Everybody loved him. Rest in peace. Prayers to his family. The world needs more people that genuinely love Notre Dame the way this guy did. So God bless him and his family. And also, this is more relevant to me being in the Chicago area growing up with the Bears, but Mongo McMichael, the big lunatic from the 85 Bears championship team, is battling ALS, and that is a slow, grinding, painful, expensive march to death is essentially what an ALS diagnosis is. And it's just really, really rough. And so thoughts and prayers with him and his family as well as he begins the journey battling ALS. So I wanted to make sure I cover both of those guys before we get into our topic today. So thoughts and prayers are with them and their families. So here's the deal. Nobody likes coach speak less than I do. That's why I openly tell you guys I'm not a big press conference guy unless things are said that I think are truly notable or outstanding. I do not have it in me to sit through every Brian Kelly presser hanging on every word he says. I just can't do it. We're too far down the Brian Kelly road that I just can't do that with him, okay? But when things are said that are notable, I pay attention and I report on them, okay? So what was said this week may just be that, or it may not be. That's to be determined in Tallahassee, Florida in early September. But in the short term, both Notre Dame coordinators spoke this week, and I really genuinely liked what I heard from both. Now, what we have to keep in mind is, as we get into this, words are words, plans are plans, but plays are plays, points are points, drives are drives. So as we go over this, it needs to be understood. I like what's being said, but words are words and actions are actions. So that's kind of my framework as we get into this. But there are some things here we're going to go over that do calm my nerves a little bit and relieve a little bit of the anxiety I had thinking about 2021 in Notre Dame, okay? So Tommy Rees was interviewed, and he stated almost word for word every single thing I've said that I wanted to hear in regards to this offense. Quotes about, I'm not going to give exact quotes, but vaguely, generally summing them up. Here's some of the things he brought up, and they're all things, specific items that I've identified in this show that were important to me that I wanted to hear and see. Rees almost hit on every single one of them, okay? Quotes saying that this offense will look nothing like last year's. It's a totally different team. Don't expect it to look like last year's offense. We need to be more explosive. We need to stretch the field. We need to do a better job of getting the ball in our playmakers' hands in space. Utilizing our speed, create more one-on-ones, better usage of the skills the running backs and tight ends offer, which are the established strength of the offensive side of the ball. Running back room is probably number one of my comfort areas. And then as long as Mike Mayer stays healthy, you know what you're going to get out of him. So Rees talked about using those tight ends and running backs in a more dynamic fashion. So here's a few thoughts on all these comments. I like it because it's exactly what I think and believe. Like, exactly. Every single one of those items I brought up before, saying I need to see it and I need to see prioritized. So it gives me comfort knowing the program recognizes the need to do all the things I just listed. That's been a reoccurring theme to me when I bring up my reloading, rebuilding. And I've been saying I need to know that internally in-house, Notre Dame sees the need to be more dynamic on offense too. And it isn't just us and Kelly thinks it's okay or whatever. So that was a huge deal to me, was just having the comfort to know in that building they agree and they see things the way we do as fans and the need to get more electric and dynamic on offense. So that gives me comfort, okay? At the same time, these are basic tenets of winning football that should already be priorities. So it shouldn't be earth-shattering news to say, you know, how cliche is it for a coach to say, we want to be more explosive, get the ball to our playmakers in space. That's a basic tenet of offensive winning football the last 30 years. So it shouldn't be breaking news or earth-shattering bulletin board material to see a coach list these items that are fairly common that you would hear coaches say. But for where we were and where we're trying to get to and the unique dynamic here, trying to shift the offense, I needed to see it and it gives me comfort. I'm good to hear it. It's good to hear it. It makes me feel better, okay? So, saying and doing are two different things. Show me this new dynamic offense in Tallahassee, and I'm all in. Show me it. Whoever the quarterback is, if I see that this offense is trying to look different and modernize, that's progress. You can build off that into the future, whoever it is, as long as the offense looks noticeably more aggressive. This transitional quarterback year, all the moving parts with the linemen and everything, now's the perfect time to tweak and get more aggressive. It seems like they're doing it, and I like it, okay? So, with the quarterback situation, knowing that this offense, they're telling me is going to look different, I reserve the right to tell you after Florida State game 1 whether I think it does or not. But for now, let's run with the idea that it is going to look different. I love that. Any of these quarterbacks can help you get into the future as long as that's the plan. So I'm more comfortable than I was with whatever the quarterback dynamic is, as long as they're working in the framework of a new offense, a new, more aggressive scheme. I view that as progress regardless of who the guy is this year. Better, more dynamic usage of Mike Mayer is another big key to me. Him or Kyron might be your most gifted offensive people. Use them. Use them. I want to see Mike Mayer right up the seam, 25-yard pass into an open spot in his zone, let him run and knock people off. The only time you throw the ball to Mike Mayer cannot be on one of those shallow crossers. He gets 7 or 8 yards, bends it out, gets hit out of bounds. He can do more than that. He's capable of more than that. Use him like you use Tyler Eifert and Rudolph. Throw him down the seam and just throw him the ball. You could use him as a de facto extra receiver. He's got such good hands and can just knock smaller guys away. So, using Mike Mayer in a more dynamic way is a big key of this offense to me. If you got that big guy running down the middle that defenses have to worry about, that creates a lot of open space, not only for the other wide receivers, but that allows for the running backs to leak out into an open area for a pass. You could do so many things when defenses have to worry about that tight end being a de facto borderline receiver at the same time. Okay? So I love hearing it. Great. Believe it when I see it. Believe it when I see it. Okay? Rees also talked about the flexibility he has at the running back position with guys that are have slightly different skill sets, but can all really shine in their individual roles. Fantastic. You know what you're going to get out of Kyron. Tyree is the one to me that was criminally underused. You could use him in the passing game so many different ways, and we just did not see enough of it. And spare me, oh, he's got to get better at blocking. I'm not putting a kid like Tyree in there to block. I'm putting him in there to make plays. Get him the ball, let him make plays. I'll worry about the blocking with somebody else. That's not what I'm putting him in there for. I'm putting him in there to catch the ball or get a handoff and make everybody miss. Find ways to get this guy the ball more. Okay? Then we get to wide receivers. It's ball out time. Older guys, it's very, very simple to me. Perform now or you're not playing anymore. Be available to play. Don't be in the doghouse. Don't have bad grades. Don't get in trouble off the field. Make plays or go away. That's what it comes down to for the older guys. Okay? Now, injury, you can't blame guys for injury, and I'm not doing it. But be available, stay out of trouble, keep your grades in order. The older guys need to make plays or they need to know they're out. One of these young guys going to come in, take their snaps. So whoever makes plays gets to play. Simple as that. Okay? So here's where this all comes full circle, you guys. This is really, since seeing everything Tom Rees said, here's what I've really been thinking. I like what he said. I'm comfortable with it. We're on the same, wavelength in terms of what we want to see this turn into, myself and Rees. Fantastic. Great. He has all these plans, different things he's going to try and do. Great. I feel more comfortable with this than I did 3 days ago before I saw what Rees said. But here's what I've been really starting to worry about. To do all of these dynamic things that Rees has talked about, the offensive line has to be solid. Will it be? 4 new guys, a couple of them might be freshmen, maybe one of them at least. The other guy's injured. That's the only returning guy is injured and isn't there now. That makes me nervous because to do any of this stuff that Rees wants to do, the offensive line has to provide the time and the blocking and be capable to do it. So that's turning into one of my big questions. If I'm saying now I feel like, okay, Rees gets it. We're going to try and open things up and all that. Fine, I have comfort with that. You need that offensive line to be able to let you do that. And this is a big shift, redoing this almost an entire offensive line. So you have to have that piece in place, functioning relatively well when you get to Tallahassee. There is no Central Community College to open the year like some of these teams. You're going to Florida State. Now, I know they're not great, but you know they have speed and athleticism and talent because it's Florida State. So you go down there, the offensive line's a mess. Anything can happen, and I'm not here for that. I'm not here for that. This cannot turn into week 1 at Tallahassee. We're all expecting this dynamic new offense, and the offensive line is turnstiles. And everybody's confused. Oh, I thought you were going to have this 8 guys are back laying on our quarterback's face, and the linemen are looking at each other. I thought you had that guy. I thought you had that guy. All that kind of stuff can't happen. Cannot happen. Offensive line, you come ready to play in Tallahassee. I don't care who starts. Have a decent line in place. I'm going to lose my mind if this goes sideways in Tallahassee because of the offensive line. I could see it now. 3 guys body slamming the quarterback, and the offensive linemen are pointing at each other. I thought you had that guy. Cannot happen. So, that's my biggest concern now. I'm finding some comfort with whatever they do at quarterback because I think if it's truly a newer system, fine. Just get that process going, and then we figure out if Buckner's the long-term future to drive that to the next level, or if Pine steps up or whatever after the transitional cone year. But that offensive line is where a lot of my worries are starting to go to. Now that I know we got that philosophical shift I wanted, practically, can this rebuilt offensive line allow this all to happen and grow and flow? Okay? So overall, I love hearing what Rees said. He's saying what we've all been seeing and saying that needs to happen. I love it. Shouldn't have taken this long to figure it out, though. But that's water under the bridge. It shouldn't have taken anybody till last playoff season to realize you need a dynamic offense to win these days. But if we're there now, we're there now. Okay, so I love that. But words are words. Big plays are big plays. Do it in Tallahassee, and I'll believe it's real. Let's flip over to the defense. Hashtag the Freeman factor spoke again, and as usual, I love every single thing the man said. I love, and it warms my heart and soul, and my man crush on him grows even deeper by the minute, okay? Unlike fragile Brian Kelly, Freeman isn't afraid to directly speak about the gap between Notre Dame and Alabama. I like that. That is a key difference between Marcus Freeman and Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly got all mad when the reporters asked him in the post-game press conference about that gap, okay? Marcus Freeman embraced it, okay? He embraced speaking about that gap. That is a key difference to me in the mental approach to this whole thing. You have to be able to acknowledge and accept that a problem exists in order to be able to properly address that problem moving forward. Marcus Freeman is not afraid to do that, and I love that. I love that. He spoke about being aggressive and outworking everybody in the country and leveraging every pro-Notre Dame angle on the trail. Here's what I like the most. This guy is just so different, you guys. If you really listen and you could catch little things he says that are so philosophically outside of the box from what we're normally hearing about Notre Dame recruiting, it's wonderful. It's exactly the mentality I want. Here's what I like the most. Rather than Freeman make excuses and getting up there and saying, oh, yeah, it's hard to recruit at Notre Dame, and, we have these restrictions on academics, and everybody knows how hard it is. That is something that's just an accepted Notre Dame thing by the fan base. Coaches talk about it, all of that. What did Marcus Freeman say? He said, unlike some other places, probably Cincinnati, players pick up the phone when Notre Dame calls due to the brand. Now, here's why that's important. When you're an elite level recruiter like Marcus Freeman is, that door cracking open is all this guy needs. So in a lot of cases, that's the key. Getting them to pick up the phone, a high school to open the door or whatever. Freeman's looking at it as, A lot more guys answer my call from Notre Dame than my call from Cincinnati just because of the status of the program. That's all a guy like this needs to have a chance with these great players. So I'm already seeing when Freeman talks a differing mindset when it comes to recruiting at Notre Dame. And it's the one that I need and I love and I've been asking for forever and I want. This guy is my head coach. If this doesn't happen, I'm going to lose it. Absolutely lose it. He has every single thing you could want. This needs to be our next head coach. He gets it. He's looking at it from a more modern perspective. I love it. Love it. Love it. So overall, this could get very exciting. If the offense truly does modernize and we get to look at that development unfolding in front of us in 2021, and Freeman keeps pushing the already established strength of the team to get even better, that excites me. Every Notre Dame fan should be thinking of that. Seeing a new, modern, exciting, high-flying offense in Tallahassee and seeing all of the unique little tweaks Marcus Freeman's going to add to this defense. Super, super exciting, positive stuff. I just feel more comfortable than I did a week ago this time because I feel like we're on the same page with this staff of where we need to get. But for now, words are words. Plays are plays. Let's see it all down in Tallahassee in early September, okay? So, one more thing we're going to finish on, and this is probably going to disappoint some of you. I don't know, but last night they released the version of the shirt, and it's hard for me to believe anybody doesn't know what the shirt is if you love Notre Dame. But it's the shirt that all the student section wears together at the home games. They design a new one each year, whatever. And then they release it this time of the year, and then everybody turns into runway fashion critique people. I don't know. And it got released yesterday, I think, and a bunch of people DM me on Twitter saying, what do you think of this version of the shirt? What I think about this version of the shirt is the same exact thing I've thought about every other version of the shirt. It is physically impossible for me to care any less about this stupid t-shirt. I do not care at all about this shirt. I've never cared at all about this shirt. And it's like, oh, John, you always have an opinion on everything, Notre Dame, blah, blah, blah. Why not this? This has no bearing on the football team being good or not. I just cannot. All my stress and anxiety and worry about Notre Dame football is used up on worrying about the actual play. I don't have any room left to care about the design on a t-shirt the students are going to wear. Has no impact on how good the team is at all. And therefore, I'm not interested. I don't care. I don't care. Who cares? It's a t-shirt. If you like it, buy it. If you don't like it, don't buy it. But I wouldn't spend any time worrying about it. Take that time worrying about it and direct that towards the offensive line and hope they can block people against Florida State. I don't care about a t-shirt unless it's one I create that's funny. I don't care. Okay, so that's going to disappoint some people. I know there's all sorts of blog articles and podcasts reviewing the shirt design. Not here. Don't care. Not interested. Worried about things that directly impact us on the field. I don't have any leftover worry for fashion. I'm too worried about this team being ready for Florida State. So that's my view on the shirt. That's all I got. Talk to you next time.